Hi YouTube family, welcome back to my channel. It's Yvonne from Ginger Chick Rehab. On my channel, along with my husband Chris, we do lots of thrift flips. We take thrifted, unwanted, unloved, outdated items and give them new life. So on our channel, we share the process of what we do with these items to get them ready to resell. We resell here locally, but we share our vision with you all. If you are another thrifter or another reseller, or even if you have just items laying around your own home and you would just like to get them out of that closet or that attic and give them new life. So in today's video, I am showing you some, I'm going to call them spice racks, kitchen shelves. These are items that you always see at a thrift store. They're in the wooden section, and I absolutely love anything wooden because I know that it is an easy fix of giving it new life.
So do you all like little knick-knacky shelves, little places to put all those little collectibles that just warm your heart when you see them? I just absolutely love these little cubby shelves. I love the character of the vintage of them. They're just so pretty. Little cubbies, a little place to hang a towel or maybe a wreath from. I just absolutely love it. $5.09 to me is a great price to make this live on. So what do you all think about little spice racks like this? I just absolutely love vintage spice racks. I always pick them up. I just love giving them new life, updating them. And I don't know why this one was only $1.09, but I said thank you very much and grabbed it right up. So I just could not believe this cubby. I just absolutely loved this one. I love that it already had wire on it. I love that it had all those drawers and the place on top that I could do a little stencil. But what surprised me when I got it home, because I didn't even open the drawers, to think that, oh my gosh, they're plastic. Well, it's mine now to repurpose, so we will see what we can do with it. At a $9.99 price tag, this was from a community thrift outside my town, so it's not like it was a Goodwill price, but we'll see what we can do with it. So if you watch my channel, you know one of the things that we like to do. Chris likes to make coffee bars. They are a great seller. So when I ran across this vintage coffee cup tree, I just did not let it pass me by. $2.09. Yep, all I need to do is fix it up and give it new life, and a paint job to show off all of that detail. Yep, it's been used and abused, but that does not bother me. So the first part as a flipper, of course, is to remove all the price tags, and then I remove any type of tag, anything that says maybe made in China. I don't want anybody to know. I mean, they know that this is a thrift flipped item, but you definitely don't want to paint over a tag unless it's somebody's name or a date or where it was handmade from. I remove the tag. Then I don't think that that string was necessary on this whatsoever. I'll be filling in those holes, and on the back of this vintage spice rack it has these little nails, but sometimes if you need to watch when removing those little hangers, because sometimes those nails you need to put back in because that's part of what's keeping the little spice rack together. But on this one I didn't need to re-nail them back in. And then I'm trying to take the knobs off, but nope, they are glued in, so they are there to stay. But this other little spice rack, this other little cubby with the little towel rod, I can remove those little porcelain knobs, and of course it's a tiny little flathead. Now I'm going to go back in with a little Durham water putty. Like I said, I did not think that this needed a string. I didn't think that did that any justice. I would not hang that from a string. So I did, because it's a hole, I taped one side of it so it doesn't go, I want it to go all the way through, but not to be a gloppy mess on the back. So I'm just filling it in with a little Durham water putty. Even though there's not really any hardware to clean, I do have those little knobs, and I don't know where they've been, so they're going to get a bath in some Dawn dish soap to get them nice and cleaned up. And then just a little bit of spray of some Rust-Oleum flat black in the paint and primer. Those were kind of a browny rusty color over time, so they just needed to be freshened up. And then I'm gonna, after that black paint dries, I'll seal them in with some polycrylic to protect that paint job. So now this should be dry enough that I can go in and sand where I filled in those holes with that Durham water putty. And the Durham water putty does dry rock hard. The longer you let it sit for, the harder it is to sand off. So I only gave it about an hour or so, and I'm just choosing to use the orbital sander. You can hand sand it, but it is going to take some elbow grease. So now I'm going to go in with a bucket of hot water and a couple little quarter cup bout of the super clean. I just absolutely love being able to dump this in a bucket, and that hot water just makes me really feel like I'm getting these items clean. Yep, I still do love Crud Cutter, but sometimes when you're doing masses like this, and these are pretty vintage, I do like using this super clean. And the only suggestion I have is really squeeze your rag out. You don't want a lot of water sitting on wood to swell that wood. So what to do with some plastic drawers. So yep, I'm just going to paint them with the Rust-Oleum paint and primer in the flat black. Why not? I don't like that plastic at all. I don't think it does anything for this beautiful vintage little cubby. So yep, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just get them a spray paint of black. So on these items, my choice is to go to our Graco sprayer. I absolutely love, especially all these little pieces and parts, all these little cubbies. This is just going to give us the quickest coverage in the most efficient way. Now for this cubby, I put 2 sheets of contact paper, one on one side of that metal and one on the other side of that metal, to try to protect. Try not to use so much tape. Sometimes the tape, when you do that, is really hard to get apart. So I'm trying this contact paper. I have lots of it, so why not? I will definitely say that being able to spray these tiny drawers is such a blessing. And yes, even though I sprayed them that plastic with that Rust-Oleum, that's just a different product, and it's a different way of adhesion on that plastic that this paint that we absolutely love, but this paint I don't feel for the longevity would stick properly to that plastic the way that I'd want it to. But for these wooden little drawers, I just absolutely love this ready-to-use black onyx that I get right off the shelf at Walmart. For this little cubby, that metal is a brass. So I think to be pleasing to my eye, I am going to keep this little cubby black. So what I'm doing now is I'm sealing that black paint in using some polycrylic. For the rest of these pieces, I'm going to be using my favorite white paint. I just absolutely love this Kills paint and primer. Yes, to do it in the sprayer, we do have to water it down just a little bit, but I absolutely love this color of white. So if you enjoy our channel, us sharing our vision of what we do with thrifted items to get them ready to resell, or just flipping items in your home, just updating unwanted, unloved items that you've stuck in your garage, in a closet, just if you love us sharing our vision with you, please consider hitting that subscription button. For these little drawers, I wanted to keep them two-tone, though I wanted to paint the front of them white. I wanted to keep that inner drawer black. So I wrapped them in a grocery bag and some masking tape to keep that part of the little drawers black. So now that the back side is dry, I can flip them over. It's just a personal choice. I like to do the back sides first, get the most coverage with my first coat of paint, and that way when I flip them over, the chances of me marring up the front where everybody sees it is a little bit less possible. So if you are new to my channel, flipping thrifted items is something that me and my husband do together. So this is a team event. So he is helping me by distressing this little cubby box. And what he's doing is taking some 220 sandpaper on the sharp edges. And this is just a look that we prefer. I love all those details in these vintage pieces. I love all that scalloped. And when you go and take a 220 sandpaper and rub it down to the wood, it just shows off all those beautiful details. So next he is moving on to using some steel wool, some fine steel wool. This is not removing that polycrylic. What this is doing is taking that sheen off and opening up the polycrylic a little bit so when we go to wax it, it accepts the wax. I know you all probably do the same thing. Even when you have pieces like this, I have leftover pieces of this contact paper and I just can't throw it away. I'm like, I might have a small drawer once in a while to be able to use this on. So here it is. I have a small drawer to try to fit this contact paper in. Why not? Why not use up what you have? I know you're all like me. You hate throwing anything away, just knowing that you could use it for another project. Now I am just replacing those little knobbies. They are the porcelain. I painted that little screw that's in the middle of them black, and I just think just simple, not necessary at all to replace that little porcelain. I just love porcelain knobs. So I know back in the day with these spice racks that they usually had them hanging from the wall, but not necessarily does everybody do that nowadays. So I like to put some chicken wire on the back of these. Now I can't say that this is the easiest thing to do because these little vintage spice racks are very thin. So when it comes to stapling them, you want to make sure that you use very small, the smallest staples that you can find. And sometimes I can't staple into everywhere. But what I do is when I'm stapling, I grab between that wire and then I finish by hammering it in very gingerly and then cut any excess off and then I'll bend it over. And so where I could not staple it, at least most of it is nice and tight with staples, I will take some hot glue and I'll just take my time and let that hot glue set up before releasing that piece of wire. If you do it too soon and that hot glue is not set up, it will just bounce right back up and won't be set. So now that I have this all cut out and weeded from my silhouette, I am just using some contact paper, the clear contact paper duck brand. I like that for my transfer tape. And then this has got some little bitty words, little bitty pieces. So I'm just gingerly removing the contact paper, making sure that everything is stuck. And then for me, when it comes to centering, I like to cut my stencil as close to the image as I can. I don't mind wrapping around some masking tape that I get at the Dollar Tree, that way that I don't touch the item. But for centering, that just helps me visually be able to center this properly. And then now that I have it rubbed as tight as I think it is on there, I can use some Apple Barrel multi-use in black. And I just use my applicating sponge, which is a makeup sponge from the Dollar Tree. Just a little paint on. It's better to go over multiple times and achieve the color that you're looking for than it is to have a whole bunch of paint and smush it underneath your stencil. For me, I love using this permanent vinyl for my stencils. It's that Oracal 651 that I get off Amazon. So I definitely need the heat of a blow dryer to release that sticky so that it does not pull off my previous paint. And then for me, I like to go in, I like these boutonniere pins that I get from Amazon. I like to go in and remove all those little tiny little pieces that are left behind. And when you're doing this, you don't want to dig like you're digging a hole. You just want to go in and kind of let that grab that vinyl and pull that up. And then so it doesn't feel bumpy and raised because you added paint and layers on there, I like to take a little generously used piece of sandpaper just to knock down so it doesn't feel like it is a raised stencil, that it's nice and smooth on this piece. And then I repeat the exact same process for these birdies on a branch. I cut it as close to the image as I can, that way so I can visually get it on there centered, and then go in with a ruler and make sure that I'm centered not only side to side but up and down also. So now I am just using that apple barrel in white for my stencil color, doing the same exact thing, a little bit of paint on that makeup sponge. Like I said, it's better to go over multiple times than make a squishy mess underneath your stencil. So when I am doing my white stencil on my black, I need to seal that in with a little bit of polycrylic, acrylic spray, whatever you have, just something to seal it in, because when I go to Waverly wax it, which is my next step, if I did not, the Waverly wax, the rubbing of that wax and drying onto it will actually remove too much of that stencil. And then I will actually do the rest of the entire piece. I just absolutely am obsessed, is the word, obsessed with what this Waverly wax does to black paint after we have distressed it and smoothed out and opened up that polycrylic. It just richens up this paint. So, oh my goodness, putting those two pieces of contact paper over that wire worked out perfectly, and look how pretty it looks just taping over somebody's signature piece.
So I thank you so much for watching today's video, and what did you think? Are these items that you see when you're out thrifting? Have I inspired you to get something that you may have laying around your house or in the attic, in the garage, in a closet? Just give you a little push to get them repainted and give them new life and get them back out into the world. So if you are part of my YouTube family, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Me and my husband Chris just appreciate your kind comments, your thumbs up. Just you watching our videos and giving us that thumbs up and a quick comment lets YouTube know that you like what we're doing and that they will keep recommending us. And if you are new to my channel and you enjoyed this type of content, don't forget to hit that subscription button along with the notification bell so you know when I've uploaded a new video.